I had a different video I was going to put up this week, but considering current climate, I felt that perhaps it would not have been appropriate to do so. The frivolous nature of it would not, be appropriate. Plus, I think a lot of us are pretty fucked up by the whole state of the world right now. In this video, I want to talk about the year so far, being that we are now 6 months approximately into it. There is so much to be said, but I'll be trying to keep this video as brief as I possibly can. Coming into 2020, my country was aflame. News that ended up reaching the entire world. To my surprise and much of Australia's relief, a lot of people ended up supporting us financially, with donations or like sending people here to help with the fires. Much of the country, if not on fire, was doused in smoke, so protective masks and dystopian aesthetics, as well as staying inside if you could, became something of a trend, and the foreshadowing is hilarious in a very morbid way. Bands and businesses and venues and people and just so many came to the aid of us from overseas and locally. Fundraisers and donations and sending people to aid people who lost their homes or entire towns. It was messed up, like, oh my god, there were firestorms for fuck's sake. What the fuck? Yeah, and there were even people like opening up their own homes for those who had lost theirs, like taking in families, even people who lived further away from the danger. So those are some fucking heroes right there. After a couple of months, sometime around March, the flames were largely controlled. Though at that point most had been dealt with by torrential rain by actually my birthday. Like they said February 7th and my birthday is February 10th. So that's cool, I guess. I don't know. Is it? And at this stage, fires are pretty much under control. I think some are simmering, maybe. But I believe that by May it was fine. Or like April even. It was, not an immediate danger to people anymore. But in the wake of the fires, 18,000 hectares burned. 33 people died directly from the fires themselves, and over 400 indirectly from secondary things like smoke inhalation, which is, rough. 9 of those people were firefighters. Over 3,000 homes were destroyed. An estimate of over 1 billion animals died in New South Wales and Victoria alone. And as that situation calmed down, another arrived, because it is 2020, aka the apocalypse. COVID-19 began before this year started, actually. It was a thing, hence the name. 19 meaning 2019. Took around 2 months for Australia to catch on. There was a very stunted response time, I think, by a lot of leaders, not just us. But it took Australia, 2 months to start taking it, like, even remotely seriously. It wasn't until March that I was told to stop working, and like late March too. A lot of people lost their jobs, if not temporarily, then indefinitely. There are still people working, and people I think are getting back into it, but they were essential workers, and everybody knows what I'm talking about. I don't need to explain that, but they kept their jobs and kept order afloat to some degree. And then people started beating the shit out of each other for necessities. Necessities, the air quotes, are to indicate that you don't need to stock up on months worth of shit and make other people who also need shit, because they are necessities, just not in that quantity, they need things too. And they needed things, and a lot of people went without. It was an interesting, few weeks there where I didn't have toilet paper. It just shouldn't have come to that. It should not have come to that, but it immediately did. Because people are insane. And that's what this year is showing me. Some people be the best that they can be in hard times, and other people are just being grade A cunts. Did you hear my stomach growl? That's funny. Many industries suffered. From the virus to that you've heard me mention before are the the hospitality and entertainment industries, both of which are still suffering. Yep, venues shutting left and right, artists suffering, tours, galleries, essentially everything that has to do with those things have either had to shut down or figure out a creative way to, keep afloat, which has included delivering bagged cocktails and streaming shows and albums and clubs and doing fundraisers and all this kind of thing. Some people after a few weeks started to feel the effects of isolation, some even taking their lives from loneliness. I really hope that their loved ones are okay. I hope there's adequate support for people who've lost loved ones either from that or the virus itself. I have a lot of friends who've lost people. Restrictions got to their strictest around late March, which is, as I said, when I lost my job, have been indefinitely on a break from the job. So that was around 3 months ago. Since then, the spread has slowed dramatically. Luckily, Australia didn't actually get hit too badly with the virus. I'm not sure if it's because we've been handling it well. We don't have any bordering countries or anything, so it's quite easy to make sure there's no jumping. And yeah, it's barely there are still new cases every day, but there's been a couple of days with no new cases, but it's pretty slow. It's definitely not like the big spike we had, because we had a big spike, and for the last month or two, I think it's just been kind of, pubs are slowly starting to reopen now. People are allowed to catch up with others now. In my country, I'm not talking about yours, unless you live in my country. You can, go to someone's house, have someone catch up with you outside, have several people catch up with you outside. You're allowed to use swimming pools, which I don't fucking agree with, because, what? Anyway. As long as social distancing to some degree is still being respected. However, shopping centres have not gotten that memo, I believe, because it is thousands and thousands of people going through them every day. But of course, people are more up in arms about protests than they are the fact that people daily are not social distancing at all anyway. But no, let's all get up in arms suddenly, taking it very seriously when there is a cause. I have noticed some people switch up real quick, which is the perfect segue to the next topic that I wish to discuss, which is the Black Lives Matter movement. Following the heartbreaking murder of George Floyd in America by the hand of a cunt police officer and his complicit idiot friends just standing by and allowing it, protests seeking justice for George Floyd and others like him who have suffered at the hand of a excessively brutal police system. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, David McAtee, and just so many people. A lot. If you've been on social media at all, you've seen that it's a lot. May they all rest in power. They have lost their lives either by death or wrongful imprisonment after being racially profiled. Something all too many black citizens, and not only in America, I will say, been made to fear since essentially childhood. It did take me a couple of weeks to come around to feeling capable to make a video or address this at all on YouTube. I think at this point it's been about 3 weeks since everything kind of started. I think I was just a bit stunned. I think a lot of people were, and I didn't really know what to say at first, so I just absorbed as much information about the whole thing as I could, and feel a little bit more capable now, but still barely. I've been terrified to even talk about this because I don't want to convey anything inadequately, but something must be said, and it would be better I verbalize my support. I mean, if you follow me on anything else, you've seen that I have, but I have not on here, so now I am. But yeah, a lot of us were particularly stunned before the anger. It's not really... Another reason it was kind of hard to come around to making this is because it's not really my place to speak for anyone right now. I'm obviously not black. I have experienced racism, but not because of my skin, because of my ethnicity. Well, my half ethnicity. But I am not black. I don't have the same experience. And I feel like they're the ones who have to be heard right now, and people need to actually listen rather than just in one ear, out the other. I'm gonna keep my own biased opinion anyway, you know? It's, yeah, time to properly listen to the cacophony of people in the streets right now. Like, what I will say is that Black Lives Matter. To those who respond with All Lives Matter, I do actually understand where some of you are coming from. Some people are doing it just to be reactionary, but I actually used to be someone who used to use that term, completely well-meaning. I don't think it had clicked for me that it's not saying that all lives don't matter, because obviously they do. It's just saying that the way that Black people are being treated does not reflect that all lives matter. They're not saying that non-Black lives don't matter, or that Black lives matter more than anybody else's. But until Black lives truly matter and global acts, particularly government, judicial, police, you know, those acts, systemic change is made, all lives do not matter. This isn't about you or me, this is about Black people suffering. I'm sorry for laughing, it's just, I don't know what the fuck to say. Hence the slogan, Black Lives Matter. It's about Black people. Don't just reactionary knee-jerk with all lives matter to either troll or whatever. A lot of people, I can't take anyone who uses it in such a knee-jerk way seriously, because even though I used to use that term, I didn't use it in response to anything really. I wouldn't see a post on Facebook and be like, oh, Black Lives Matter, all lives matter actually, because, you know, I was misguided but not a dick. But yeah, knee-jerk reactions in opposition to warranted requests for change do nothing for you or your causes, so it doesn't help anyone to be a dick, you know? If me saying that Black Lives Matter, by the way, makes you want to unsubscribe from me, you should. But it says more about those who react that way than it does myself. I'm happy to take the hit because really pales in comparison to a lot of the shit going down. What's going on in America right now, like the fucking brutality doesn't even seem like a good enough word anymore. Like, what the fuck? That's not to say that Australia is innocent. We absolutely are not. There are a lot of people who believe that racism here is not quite as bad. I think I thought so for a while, at least in alternative communities, but I am coming to the realization that I was mistaken. That shit is insidious. It is sneaky. But yeah, my heart goes out to those fighting the good fight in America. We are doing the same here. We have started protesting unjust treatment of Black Indigenous communities. For example, deaths in custody that no cop has been held accountable for or responsible for. And I'm happy to say that there were peaceful protests countrywide, at least Australia-wide, save for some bully cops in, of course, Sydney. A group of bully cops decided to pepper spray people on their way home at the train station, which is classic them. Before anybody gets up my ass, I do understand that it's a risky thing to do with the pandemic. I'm not an idiot. I'm not trying to devalue the health concerns of people, because they are valid. Anybody who felt sick or lived with anyone who would be vulnerable or was vulnerable themselves was asked to stay home. Largely they did. I think 1 or 2 people were found to have gone to several thousand people protest that were unwell, and look, they shouldn't have, but I hardly feel it's going to spark this second wave that a lot of people have been complaining about. At least it hasn't thus far, since that big protest, which I think it was between 10 and 50,000 people. In Melbourne alone. I know Brisbane had, I think, 30,000 or maybe more. It's been about a week and a half since that protest, and there haven't really been a climb in cases. Hasn't really been a climb in cases. Even the, what is it, the Australian Health Organisation? Australian Health Association? Health Australia Association? One of them. But yeah, they've even come out and issued a statement of support for the protest. So, you know, Health Association or whatever they are, even they are look, fair enough. I do suggest that, and I understand not every system is like America or like Australia and whatnot, but rather than pointing all of your focus towards America right now, perhaps look in your own backyard just to it can be easy day to day to forget things like that, especially when you aren't a person of color. Regardless, solidarity, progress is being made. Look at Breonna's Law. Stuff is happening slowly. However, don't be placated by such shows, because perhaps they are doing this and then they think they don't have to do anything else, or that other things don't have to be changed. But a lot has to be changed. A lot has to fucking change. Gods, I hope that the pleas for justice are heard by those that need to hear them and those that can make a change before any of this gets any fucking worse than it has. I'm kind of rambling. I'm going to probably stop talking about that now, just because I don't feel like I am the person to speak on it, because I'm not so eloquent. I'm not the most informed. I'm trying to be, and that's the whole thing. You know, try to inform yourself on what's going on. There are many forms of activism. You can protest, you can donate, you can just educate yourselves, talk to the people around you about such things. I will leave links below to more informative sources than I, because, you know, I'm certainly no authority. With that being said, people in Australia, do the smart thing next election as well. People in America, please do that as well. Please vote. Before any of you go on about the theory that voting doesn't make a difference, just do it anyway, on the off chance that it does something. Because, in my opinion, because if you don't, I feel like you don't have a right to complain when there is a government in there you don't like. Because look, maybe it is all fucking rigged. Maybe. Could be. You know, on the off chance that every vote actually counts. And please do. Just do it. It can't hurt. Just do it. When you do, think about who you're backing and what they actually stand for. I can see that America right now is fucked in that regard. I don't know what the answer is for you guys, but people in Australia, think about what you're doing. We have voted poorly twice in a row. It's been a long fucking year. This is already so long. This fucking video. And yeah. Anyway, I will start uploading again as normal after this video. I just didn't want to not address the world. Just wanted to, yeah, share my thoughts, let you guys know that I'm not ignoring what's going on, and I am not staying silent. I just don't interact with my YouTube quite as much as I do other social media. Definitely a lot of respect to those who have shown their support and kindness regarding everything that's going on at the moment. Staying informed about, especially the pandemic. Like, you don't really need to stay informed about the fires anymore. They're not really an issue. But it's of utmost importance. The amount of willful ignorance and bias that I have seen lately has been atrociously frustrating, I won't lie. And not just in regard to what I've mentioned in this video. There is so much else going on in the world right now that I've not even touched. Like, fuck, I've had to take a break from Facebook entirely just because I can't deal right now with so much overwhelming information and opinion and dickishness and emotional stuff, and just I've had to like completely not use my I've been on a secondary account that I have only myself added to, just because I just can't for a little bit. I mean, I'm not trying to indulge too much into escapism. It is definitely enticing to do so, but it doesn't help anybody, does it? But the break has been good for me. And please try to give yourself one if you're finding yourself overloaded, because you can't fight a fight when you can't fight anymore. You know, caring so deeply and actively for so many ongoing things at once will tear you apart. So please take care of yourselves to whatever degree you can. To end on a good note, because I don't want this whole video to be doom and gloom, The Standing Rock Sioux Tribe, who have been fighting to protect their land from the Dakota Access Pipeline since 2016, which transfers 600,000 barrels of crude oil each day just upstream from the Standing Rock Reservation, from which an oil spill into the Missouri River would destroy the tribe's way of life. As of late March, the tribe has actually won after a federal court noped a permit to route the pipeline under the river, finding that the US Army Corps engineers failed to consider the health and environmental impacts of the tribe in the event of an oil spill. So that's a win. Fuck knows, we could use a couple fucking wins, right? That's about it. Just a warning, by the way, I'm going to have a bunch of videos going up over the next few weeks, just so I don't backburner them indefinitely. So please, notification bell if you're keen to catch them all. See you soon, stay safe, be smart, and ciao for now.